The swarms of large, mysterious drones that have been menacing New Jersey and New York have now spread to Pennsylvania. No one, including the FBI, knows where these drones came from or who is piloting them. Now, this is unbelievable. We were discussing this yesterday with New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith, who met with officials and said they didn't know where they were coming from. But even though they don't know where these car-sized drones are coming from, they say, oh, they're no threat, no worry, no reason to be worried. Well, how do they know that? Here now to share what he knows is Congressman Scott Perry. He serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee and the House Intel Committee. He represents the 10th Congressional District of Pennsylvania. Congressman Perry, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, well, Tony, it's great to be with you, and I wish I could report something to you. I requested a briefing over a week ago. I got that briefing early this week. Unfortunately, it didn't inform me much more from what I already know from what we call open source reporting, which is what everybody else knows, that these drones are pretty prolific around much of New Jersey, flying over airports, the president's resort out there, and people's homes. And we don't know where they're from. We don't know who's piloting them. We don't know their intentions. And, unfortunately, the law doesn't really provide for anybody to do much about it right now. It's illegal to shoot one of these things down. So your listeners and your viewers must know that. It's considered an aircraft, so you can't shoot at it if it's over your house, and or that'll be a federal crime. And so, depending on the jurisdiction, local law enforcement doesn't have any tools to combat it. And, if the FBI is not present there with the right equipment, the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, you can't determine who's flying it, where it's from. Now, I did understand, I didn't see it directly, but I understand there were questions today at the White House at the briefing, at which there was a revelation that these are not. And so this is what I've heard. I haven't seen it with myself, so I need to characterize it that way. But it was essentially, these are not known to be just local, random, individual actors, which I think is A, concerning, and B, is more information than we've had prior to this.
Yeah. I'm not on the Intelligence Committee, Congressman, but I would think that if our government, there's only one of two things that could be happening. They have to know. Our government
Right.
cannot be that incompetent to not know that an aircraft is flying over, and not just one, I mean dozens of them flying over vital installations. We don't know about it. We don't know where it's coming from. We can't track it with all of our sophisticated technology. From a satellite, we can read a license plate on a car. So either we're totally incompetent or we're not telling the American people the truth.
And that includes the representatives of the American people. I just left. I was down in the intelligence, what we call the SCIF. That's where I just was before I came here. They're not telling us anything at the moment. Now I have a briefing again next week. So maybe I'll find out something then or before then. And I think that we are able, well, I agree with you, Tony. We are able to track them. They can see them. They probably, I'm sure they show up on radar. We can pick up birds and things like that on radar. So I'm sure they show up. I don't understand how they're not being tracked to their final destination and how they're not being associated with some individual that is controlling them or individuals. That's what I don't understand. And either they don't know that and that's incompetence, or they do know that and they're not telling us and that's something else.
Now, there are reports that these drones could have actually come from an Iranian ship off the coast. Is there any evidence of that to either confirm or deny that?
I haven't seen any evidence. That doesn't mean it's not true. However, according to what I understand, the White House denied that today. So for whatever that's worth.
So how can they not know the origins, where they're going, and tell us that they're not a threat?
That's fair enough. I mean, if they don't know the origin, if they don't know who's piloting them, how can they also be so sure to tell us that it's not controlled by somebody from Iran and it's not from someone on a ship? If they don't know where they're coming from, allegedly, how can they say that with any confidence? And why would we have any confidence in believing that? So right now, I think it's a wide open conversation.
And these are not, just for those that have not been tracking this, these are not like the drones that you get off of Amazon. I mean, these are the size of cars.
That's the reports that I'm getting as well. And like I said, I've asked over a week ago to get a briefing on it. I got it first thing this week when we got in here, but it didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. So that was not very helpful.
Yeah, it's really bad with those guys briefing you or kind of flipping through the pages of the newspaper, telling you what you already know.
Right.
Final question for you, Congressman Scott Perry. If our viewers, listeners spot one of these, larger than usual drones, a car, looks like a car flying above their house, what should they do?
Well, they should definitely call their local police. That's the right thing to do. They should dial 911, call the police, give them and if you can, I would say get some pictures of it with your phone or anything else. If you can get the photographic evidence and the timestamp on it, I think that would be helpful in determining what it is, who's doing it, and where they're using it.
All right, we'll do that, and we'll follow back up with you when you get more intel on the drones.
Yes.
All right, Congressman Scott Perry of Pennsylvania. Great guy. Good friend.
Thank you. Thank you.